Hi, welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what it means when we talk about the ego and of the mind, when we're talking about the tarot and swords part of the deck. There's four elements. There is earth, air, water, and fire. And so in the tarot deck, there are four suits, and one of the suits is swords. And I just want to do some clarifying and about how the ego can be, the word ego is taken wrong. It has been in recent times that when you talk about the ego, like it's bad, it's something bad. And this is what I want to clarify, because whenever a swords card comes up, we say, well, there's something happening in the mind, there's something happening with the thoughts, there's something happening the mind, the mental thinking, thoughts, ego, anything that has anything to do with the brain, with the mind, with thinking and making decisions. So when we say ego, it's not a bad thing. I just wanted to make this video so that we can clarify a little bit when we talk about ego. I just felt something that just really passionate about speaking about some of these things, and that's why when I make these videos, it's important to make this clarifier. So in the tarot, we start out as the Fool, okay? And that's our journey in life. Each one of us start out, and we're new. It's like an innocent, younger energy, where if you notice him in the card, he's about ready to take a leap off a cliff, meaning he's going off on a journey. And each one of us moves into that. And when we're younger, we go off into the journey of life, and we go through our trials and tribulations, and then we slowly move through the different experiences. And that's what the major arcana cards are in the tarot, until we move off into the world, which is completion. We've completed a whole cycle of all of those trials and tribulations of knowing the self. And so anyway, the Fool card here, as you can see, it's sunny out, he's got his dog next to him. Dogs are the friends, innocent companion, loving, friendly companion with him. He's got a white rose in his hand. So again, the white meaning of innocence. And he's making a leap off the cliff, and not knowing where he's going, but having faith that he's going to be just fine, because he has in him all of the knowing, the wisdom, and the knowledge, the wisdom of the universe, of creator, because we are all creators of our own life, of our own reality. We are co-creating this place together. We are all God. So he's the center of his own universe. He's the center of his own life. And we all are. And I guess, and again, ego can be argued. I mean, I could say black, you could say white, or reverse it. It's one of those words and those terms that has been so misconstrued and misunderstood for so long. Is that the ego, it literally is saying that we are all really the center of our own universe. And so how do we interact with others? And there's that selfish good, selfish bad. Like, you do things selfishly, you take care of yourself first, and then you can be there for others. But then there's the selfish of greed and hoarding and being deceitful, or any of those words that are doing harm to others just to take care of yourself in a harmful way, where you're looking out for yourself but not others. So there's kind of like a fine line there, but not really. It's very important to make that clear line between that. So the Fool here, he's a fool. He doesn't know. He's just going to go off into the world and make his journey, and he hasn't been through any of the ups and downs in life to taint his walk, because he has faith, and like a child, like a baby, has faith that he'll be taken care of, she or he will be taken care of, and by the people who are taking care of them. And so has the Godhead inside and already connected, already in that center of their own universe. And I'm not going to go too much into psychology here, talking about the id and the ego and all that. But it's really just talking about how the ego can easily be misconstrued by the way that we use the word. And so, especially when we're talking about the air signs, which is Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And so when we talk about the mind and making decisions, and we're talking about the King of Swords, even we'll get into this just a little bit. I'll make this video as short as I can talking about this, but just really get down to the clear facts of all this is that making decisions and for the group, for the good of all, you have to have a good solid focus and be clear in your mind to make clear decisions with your thoughts, and your thinking has to be clear. So again, the Fool card is going off on a journey, so that's the kind of the 0 card. And the very first card of the deck, the first major arcana, we want to say, is the Magician. And if you look at the Magician here has a hand pointing upward and pointing up to the cosmos, up into to heaven, up into the universe, up into the Godhead, the higher self. And then he's got one other hand down here pointing down to the ground. So that's the whole premise, as above, so below. And the Magician is the manifestor card, and manifests things that are in the ethereal, which is in the thoughts first, in the higher mind, and then brings it down to the earth and manifests it physically. And so here, as you can see, the infinity symbol above his head. It's not over here, it's not down there, it's not over here, it's above his head. Okay, and then also if you look here, he's got all of the 4 suits. He's got the cups, the water, he's got a sword down on the table, which is the air signs, and he's got the wand there right here, which is the fire sign, and then he's got the pentacle over here, which is the earth signs. So he's got all of these elements, all of the raw materials on the table, and he has them laid on the table. And he knows, again, with his arm pointing upward and his finger pointing downward, as above, so below, and the premise is as within, so without. So when he reaches in and he reaches to that higher mind intelligence coming down and bringing him that inspired actions, he can bring all of that out, like the Fool card that starts out. He can bring all of that out and then manifest. And then sometimes he uses these tools, but look at the image though, they're on the table. And he's just standing there solo with nothing else in his hand besides that, the little pointer that he has pointing upward and then pointing downward. So that's because he knows very well that that's how you manifest, is as above, getting that intelligent mind inspired thoughts from the higher mind, because I don't have the High Priestess card out, but you'll notice in the High Priestess card the information's flooding down and through her being from the head down. And then he's pointing downward as below. So I'm going to bring the heavens to the earth, and then from within, so without, I'll manifest. And again, that figure 8, that Mobius in science, that's that no beginning, no end. It's infinite intelligence. It's infinite intelligence. It's coming up from the higher mind. So there's the Magician card. He doesn't have the sword in his hand. He doesn't have any of those raw materials in his hands to make it happen, although he may use some of those at his disposal, but he knows it's coming from within. And so if you look here now at, I have all of the, right here, I have all of the swords part of the deck out so I can show you. But the Ace of Swords is the first card, basically, of the tarot. And the Ace of Swords is the new mental clarity coming in. And you can see it's coming from the cloud, which is coming from Spirit, God, the universe. It's coming right in and giving you a brand new mental clarity start so you can make wise decisions in the mind. Okay, so that's the Ace. And then we're off into the Two of Swords. And if you look at the Two of Swords here, she's blindfolded and she's got her arms crossed with the two swords. So she's at a stalemate because she's basically in the mind. She's trying too much in the mind with something, but she has to make a choice over something using her mind. So there's at least two meanings to everything. So she's not just making a choice, but she's at a stalemate. She may be getting too much in her head. Maybe take the blindfold off and then she could see clearly. Or it could mean that she could see in the dark. So depending on where the card lays next to, you get more of the decision and more of the meaning of the card. Or depending on where the card is placed next to in the tarot, that's how it works. But just clearly, I'm just bringing it out to you. I'm just really drawing that correlation between working with the mind and and working with the ego, with your center of your own universe. Your center of your own universe. A lot of these cards has a lot to do with something that's very personal. And again, the ego is being center of your own universe. In Buddhism, there's a saying that you need your ego to die. You need your ego to make decisions. So as we're going through the deck of the swords here, we're going to just see more clearly in what it really means when we talk about the ego. And it's not bad. It's neutral. It's a neutral thing that is part of who we are as beings, of creators of our own reality. So again, she's at a stalemate, but she's also has to make a choice of which direction to go. She might be guarding herself. She could see in the dark with the blindfold on. The Three of Swords is there's been a heartache. So there's been some kind of mental heartache. It could be self-sabotage. It could be others that you've allowed to trump over you. That you've allowed them to create harm to you. You've allowed heartache into whatever interactions you've been having. You've allowed them to take residence in your mind, and then through that, the mind, the thoughts are electrical, and then it creates an emotion which is magnetic. So we all have an electric magnetic frequency around us. And so if you allowed that in, you allowed others in to take residence in your mind and then create heartache. And again, it's raining. There's clouds here. There's clouds in the background. Clouds is of the air signs. Okay, so we have the Four of Swords as you're taking a rest from being so in the mind. Again, the swords are hanging up here. There's one down there. And you're taking your rest and allowing your mind to subside so you can have that rest and have more mental clarity. Recuperate and be passive in a sense where you're not on defense. You're not in the mind and trying to defend yourself. And again, at the very beginning, I was talking about the ego. Can either be that selfishness can either be taken from helping yourself first in an effect that is going to help everybody in the community, or it could be selfish and it could be bad and used against somebody. Okay, so here in this card, you're taking a rest, you're listening to your dreams. Inspired action will come through dreams, and then make a decision after you come out of your resting period and your recuperation. The Five of Swords here is that there's been a conflict. Anything of 5 in numerology is a breakdown from the resting, which is 4, onto the stability of the 6. Conflict, battle, defeat, as you can see, but he's moving on here. And he's moving on and not being so much trying to, he's not moving on without gaining something in his intellect, making a wise decision to finally move on after that defeat. And it's okay. It's okay to, hey, I was defeated. I will pick up myself and I will move on. and it's okay. I'm not going to get into my mind and try to defend myself in so much that I'm going to go after these people. No, I'm going to understand that that happened, and that's okay. I'll take the good in what happened with the event and then move forward from there. Again, making a wise decision with the mind. Well, after the Six of Swords is that you're moving off into a better shoreline. You're moving off into a better passageway. It's a transitional stage, and sixes are stable. Sixes are stable time, and again, moving off again with the swords down and assisting others, making that decision in the mind. The Seven is the deception, betrayal card, something you've been deceived about. Again, something happening in the mind. And then you're kind of doing it undercover, but the universe witnesses your true intentions, and that's the Seven of Swords, is that you can't really get away with anything because we're being watched. We're always being watched by the universe. Understands, if you're really working with the heart and you're making that decision with the mind and really having the balance of the thoughts with the heart space, the universe knows your true intentions. You can never get it wrong. So when that deception could be being deceived by others, it could be deceived by your own mind. That's if the self-sabotage can come in. And again, bringing ego in, that you're doing it for selfish reasons so that you are winning over somebody or conquering over someone. Okay, so that's that Seven of Swords. And we have the Eight of Swords here, and the Eight of Swords is imprisonment, but it could be imprisonment from your own doing, from your own mental thinking, from your own mind. It doesn't mean that somebody there tied you up and put you on put blindfold on you, although you can't really do that to yourself physically. It would kind of be impossible. Others would be doing that to you. But this card, again, cards have more than one or two meanings, and so it could possibly mean that self-sabotage, mental self-sabotage, things of the mind with the swords, but it means of things of the mind, mental thinking, and ego, which is, again, your center of your own universe. We all are, and that's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. That's how we co-create this place together. That's how we've been doing it. And working with the thoughts, and then working with our mind space, and then we draw that to us. It's magnetic. That's how it works. So you may be getting too much in your mind about things, self-sabotage, feeling imprisoned in your own making of your own thoughts in your mind. The Nine of Swords is that something's been keeping you up at night. Something really has been causing depression, anxiety. You're in despair. It could be, what you're thinking others are doing to you, or again, your own. Nobody does anything to us. It's what you perceive it to be within your own mind. And if you're so much in the mental space of the air of the mind, then you're not bringing down into the heart space and the connection with the universe and making your wise decisions, because you're letting your thoughts cloud you. And the blanket here, there's a whole bunch of zodiac signs on that blanket here, so it's kind of like the feeling like the world's like covering you up, and you just can't take what is happening, and it's just making it so you can't get proper sleep and rest and really make those right decisions for yourself. We have the Ten of Swords, and this is tens in numerology is completion. So when you have the Ten of Swords, man's down. There's defeat, there's crisis, there's loss. There's no getting up from that. But that's it. Once you're down, that's it. That's the end of the cycle. And you're going to start a whole new cycle from there. And again, swords being of the mind, you let the mind get to you. You let your thoughts run the show without checking in with your heart space and the universal mind to, help you along the way. You allowed others in, we like to say, to take residence and to take rent up into your head, into your space, up in your mind. And when that happens, then it's hard to make clear decisions. Okay, so we have four more cards here we're going to go through. The Page of Swords. This is cutting through. Pages of opportunities. There's messages coming through. And again, if you look, there's clouds in the background, which is the air. It being represented of the symbol of the air sign. He's going to make decisions and move forward, an opportunity now to have that clear thinking. And then the Knight of Swords is a fast moving, like the air, kind of like a good example is like a tornado, really fast. It's of the air element, and he's moving really fast towards whatever he's going towards, and using that mental mind, the thoughts, the decision-making part of the mind, quick thinking, perceptive of the mind, and again, center of his own or her, it's just the quality of the card, the energies of the card, center of their own universe in order to move forward. It's the same thing now. We're going to go on to the Queen and the King of Swords here. So if you look at this, it's kind of cool. We got the bird, which is another symbol of the air, and then we have the clouds, and there's two birds in there, which is another symbol of the air. So if you look at the Queen, she's a quick thinker, she's very perceptive, she makes decisions with her mind and her heart space, and she's got her hand over and facing the King. And this is really what we want to go here, about 20 minutes into this video. It took this long to get. But again, all those pieces play a big role of what I'm talking about and the point that I'm making within this video. And just drawing just that more clarity onto what we're meaning when we're talking about ego and we talk about the air signs. Because there's no better, no worse. You know, the air signs is of the mind. And all elements play on each other. All the elements. Let's see, let me go off to the Magician card here. He's got all elements on the table. He's got water, he's got air, he's got fire and earth. And that's how we manifest things on the plane, on this physical plane. So all elements blend into each other. So if you look at the King, it makes him king. If he's a king for a reason, is that he's making wise, clear, mental decisions on his intellect with his thoughts and his mind, and he's centered of his own castle. He is the king of the castle. There's not two kings. He's the king of that particular element, because he's able to make those wise decisions for the community. And again, there's the chief above, and then there's the others. There's a hierarchy, but we could be around the table together, but the chief doesn't ever stay up top necessarily in that one position. He's going down, he's working with others all over the place in his castle. He's working with the servants, he's working with the musicians, the bards, he's working with the sages, and then everything in between up until the chief, which is the chief. The chief is the chief because he's able to be clear-minded without going off the deep end, without being in control of others for the bad. He's in it for the whole entire family, for the castle, for the tribe, for the community. He's in there. He's the one being chosen because he has clear thinking, and he's knows how to balance his ego in a gentle way for the benefit of all, not for selfish reasons. He uses his mind to make clear decisions and his intellect, and he has a keen focus. And so that right there is the summary of this entire talk today, is literally is that he is the one that is very focused in his mind, and he can make clear decisions because he knows that he is the center of the community here, and everybody looks up to him to be able to make those wise decisions mentally. And so the ego is not something that's bad. Like people say, oh, that person over there has an ego problem, or there's that judgment going on, that ego is a bad thing. But it's not, because we all need that to function in order for us to exist and move about in this physical plane. And also, it's not just here. I mean, you need it to make transitions. You need it to make your passage, just like the seven, or the moving on there. The Six of Swords is that he shows himself in the boat, and with the others, and the swords are down and moving off into another shoreline. And let's see. Let's read this one right here. You know, he's doing it for the benefit of others there. So the king, when we talk about, when we're drawing the cards, we say, okay, so the swords is of the mind, the thoughts, and the mental, intellectual thinking of the ego. It doesn't mean that its ego is bad. And the wands too, that's an outward action energy. That's a fiery energy. You figure that would be a masculine energy. The masculine is the outward energy to get the job done. It's the force in which is the outward force. The feminine is the inward force in order to make decisions. So that's how that works. It's not male, it's not man, woman. It's just an energy at play. And so the cups, the water signs, are emotions. And so you could be easily drowned in deception with that too. You could be drowned in fiery fire of the the wands, of the fire signs too, getting too much in your ego in a bad way, and to trump over somebody else. And with the earth too, you could be very stingy with material possessions, or even self-sabotage, where your health starts being hindered. So that's a way like the ego can really damage when it's not being in check. And understand that where the ego sits on that very fragile point between taking care of yourself to benefit yourself first and then others, or where it sits where it's not stable, where it's like sabotaging you and then it's harming others. So and I want to bring in, one second here with all of this. I have 2 more cards here. So then, the only other cards in the deck, I think I saw it, depending on the tarot deck that you're looking at too, what I've seen so far, and I've seen a lot of decks, is that there's not many swords in others' hands. Maybe there's one picture of an individual on the Wheel of Fortune with a sword, but the other one is Justice. So if you look at the Justice card, one hand, and again, that hand is the right, which is the masculine side, and then the left is the Balance, and that's the feminine side, balancing out the scales here in the Justice. There's justice being done to whatever the situation at hand. He's got the sword up, and then the scale onto the other hand down. So that's important to see that where the sword is in the hand, and again, using that intellect, using the mind, using the ego to make that wise decision on that balancing. And that's a Libra energy too. That's another air sign. So there's 3 air signs again, is the Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And so balancing out the scale, balancing out the situation is the Justice card. And it does tie in a little bit with the Temperance card too. The Temperance is balancing things out. It's the balance between giving and receiving, masculine and feminine, night and day. But for the purpose of this conversation here is that literally The justice has that sword in hand because you're making that decision with the mind, with the intellect, being focused and making a wise decision with not just the mind but connected with the heart space, and then balancing that out to bring justice to whatever situation. And again, the tarot cards depend, their meanings change accordingly to whatever card they're being positioned next to as they're coming out. And then we have, last but not least, is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is that, again, it shows it as a man. The High Priestess is different. There's a woman in that card, but very similar in the sense that they're both on their throne and up on the chief's chair, where they are of the higher echelon, where they are connected to God, to the universe, to the highest of powers, and they hold that position. And with the male energy here is making decisions in authority and control, kind of like the church, priests of church. And you have to have clear thinking. You have to have balanced thinking with the heart space. You have to have connection to Godhead, to God, to your higher self, to higher powers, in order to make those decisions for the community and to hold the laws of the universe, essentially, and to understand how it works. Again, we live in a world of we live in a realm, we live not just in the world, but we live in a universe, and creation is on magnetism. So it's what you're thinking creates that, again, creates the electric activity, and then that charges an emotion, and that's magnetic. So whatever you're thinking creates an emotion, and you draw that to you. And so that's the law of magnetism, and that's the electric magnetic. And every body, it's not just a human, but every body has that electric magnetic around them, and it draws to you whatever you're creating with your mind and your emotions. And so that's alchemy. Right there is like the premise of the very fundamental ways of spiritual alchemy, is that how we create our own reality, because we are our own God. We are the center of the universe, and that's what we're going to bring back full circle around to the Fool card here. Is the Fool knows deep down inside, that baby, the infant, that child knows deep down inside that they are the center of their own universe, and they co-create. Their God. They're co-creators of this reality with everybody else, and they're the center of their own universe, and that's the ego. And again, full circle round, is that ego can easily be argued. Everybody's got their own perception of it. I mean, yes, there's a dictionary term that you can look up in Webster Dictionary, wherever dictionary you want to look at the definition, which I haven't done. I didn't do before I started this video. It's just, I know I'm just sharing my wisdom with you, is that I felt it, that passion to share what that, make a distinction and to clarify what ego really means, is that it's not something to be towering over an individual's like power. I mean, if you look at the Hierophant here, just like the king, just like the justice, just like anybody that's making the rules, or not making the rules, but not enforcing either, because that's power over. But you have to have that structure, in a sense, in order for people to have that, the boundaries, and so that the community and the tribe doesn't break down. So that's how it is. Everybody's got their role. So again, the authority has to be kept in check. I mean, if you look at the churches and things that have been going on during this lifting of the veil, we call the apocalypse, there's been a lot of that which has been hidden coming out and being revealed, and that's the veil, the lifting of the veil. Is that in order for a community or the world stage to be cohesive, you have to have those individuals that are really understanding and keeping that that oath of hey, you know, I work closely with Great Spirit, I work closely with God, and I'm going to share this with the people and understand that my position is fragile and I have to remain in control of myself first, to have that balance of my ego with myself first, and in a way that it's helping and healthy and compassionate and intellectual at the same time, in order to share that and to be that strong, solid, grounded individual for the others who depend on me in a way to convey what they need in times of trouble or in times of whatever, to come to me, and they trust me. And it's just like that. In God we trust. I mean, it's on here in America, it's on the dollar bill, it's on money. In God we trust. That we trust that we trust God. We trust our own inner connection with the Godhead, because we all are center points. And again, creation's multidimensional, so we are all God. We're all center points of our own being, of the universe. So it's multidimensional again. So when you say the ego, well, we all have an ego, but we're not doing it to, you know, power over an individual to defeat them, but to maintain that balance within the self, so that we can empower others, and so they can make their own decisions. And that really is the summary of the Hierophant. And it can be, the Hierophant could be a structural, very rigid belief system. It depends on how you read the card and where it's placed next to. And it has been throughout the ages of humanity, and that's where we're moving out of, into the expansion of, you know, creating a freer environment for us to be able to express ourselves. I mean, in times not too long ago, I couldn't even talk as being a woman. I wasn't able to voice any of this. So we've come a long ways in acceptance and freedom of speech, freedom of, and it's not just in one country or another, but we have this ability now through the means of the technology that was created, again, with the mind, to be able to convey all of these messages, even in this format. So, in summary, is that the ego is not a bad thing. The ego, it can be used for power over, and to dissolve your own, and shrink yourself down to a size of a pea, and not owning that you are God and you have a lot of responsibility to yourself and to others, to have that wise mind, mental thinking, to make those wise, clear, intellectual decisions with connection of the heart space. And when you do that, it's amazing the magnetics that happen and draws to you. People want to be around you. I mean, nobody wants to be around somebody that's, you know, making them feel inferior, or making them feel like that, you know, they're being deceived, or being tricked. And it's a fine balance in between that. So again, the ego can be something that is not good for the benefit of the individual, which in turn will not benefit for anybody else, or it can be a very good thing where you have the leaders of countries or of organizations or of the family, like the father or the mother, depending. You can reverse it again. It's all energetics. It's male, female. It's masculine, feminine energies. So a woman can be in the masculine mode, like me giving this talk right now. I'm in my masculine. So it's an outward energy to get the message across. And the inward energy is the feminine. And that's the compassion, the unconditionally way of existing with each other. So, it can be pretty much, the ego can be a very good thing. And that's when, in order to be a leader, you have to have that strong sense of clear thinking, of intellectual understanding, that your mind's clear and you can make those decisions for everyone that is involved in wherever you are in your circle, and it's benefiting everybody. So anyway, thanks for listening to this, and I hope you take what you need from this, and it helps you in your walk, and you can share with others. And yeah, if you like what that's being said here and what I'm conveying, yeah, please like the video, and help me understand that you do like that, so I can see that I can see the numbers listening to this. But it does help if you do give it a thumbs up, or whatever, if you want to share it with others. And then thank you for subscribing to the channels too. I'm going to be sharing this on both my channels. I have at Amu 111, which is my Muriel Schickman, my shamanic channel for Above Skyline Quantum Wellness, and my shaman channel, where I talk a lot about, I have a lot of videos on there on the law of attraction and manifestation and shamanism, and I got a whole bunch of stuff on there, like some videos of me playing music, but also my books that I've published. I got a couple above me, as you can see. Walking the Path of Least Resistance, I published that in early 22. And then I have some other books. My Soul Ship book, which is my novel I wrote about the embodied enlightenment and what that was for me to embark on. It's a textbook in itself. It's got a glossary in the front, and it's got all the events that occurred, and it's just a multi-dimensional book. But you can check all that out on my website at murielschickman.com. You can go to my website. Yeah, and I have a books page there you can find on Amazon, and all of that. I'll upload this video to my regular Muriel Schickman Amu 111 channel, and then I'm going to also put it on my Inner Alchemist tarot channel that I have, and I started in April. I really have a passion to do the tarot and the oracles, because it is, again, everything's multidimensional. It helps me to speak my wisdom through the cards, and then also to teach about alchemy and the spiritual alchemy of how we create our own reality by how we think and feel, and the laws of magnetism. And it's so important that it's understood now, and people, humanity, are really embarking and then living life in harmony and cohesion with the laws of creation is such a passion for me. So that's why I talk about that. So I'll be uploading this video to both channels. And then again, thank you for being here. Appreciate you, and until next time, many blessings.